Welcome back. This is a very different type of video to what I normally make, but I made a video a few weeks back about consistency, and I wanted to make this reflection diary thing where I kind of hold myself accountable to what I wanted in that video, and that video really encapsulates the goals I have for myself, and I thought it'd be kind of cool to have this monthly check-in where I can, determine how consistent I am being with the goals that I want to achieve, with the habits I want to keep up, and the systems that are kind of in place to make that happen. There are 5 habits that I like to keep track of that I deem are super important to me. That's writing, exercise, reading, posting on this YouTube channel, and posting on my music page. So I have different parameters for what I would consider a successful month in each of them. Let's just start with writing. There are 4 forms that I like to write in, that being articles that usually get posted on my website, and then scripts, which are obviously like YouTube scripts or maybe something else, but typically they're YouTube scripts, screenplays, because I write movies and I want to make them, and reflections. And by reflections, they're not exactly journal entries. I try to have them be like more focused exercises where I'm trying to reflect and act on a certain problem in my life, or even, most of my YouTube scripts actually begin as reflections where something's kind of bugging me in my head. I kind of start becoming obsessed with something. Oh, the light's coming in, very nice. And that kind of begins here. It's the best way for me to begin distilling something, and kind of repeatedly distilling something. Like even this idea was kind of just meant to be, initially it was just meant to be another video essay about why it's so difficult to write every day, and then the more I kind of pursed around and analyzed around it, I kind of just wanted to make something a bit more free-flowing. And I do want to address that, where it's like why I've struggled to write every day. But we'll come back to that to the end. In general, I would say that I've been quite successful. I wanted to write every day. January is 31 days, and I've written 21 days. So missed out on 10 days. That's not too bad. Not too bad. I'm not too unhappy with that, given that it's the first month of 2026. Exercise. I was horrible about exercise. I was really good about it in December, but I really didn't do shit in January. I really chalk it up to like environment and personal motivation. When at home in Malaysia, it's really easy. Like the gym is like right downstairs, the pool is right downstairs. Accessibility is it's just so convenient that I was like really good about, I would like literally 5 days a week I would be going. My goal is just to go 3 days a week. So when I came to India for this month, I just decided that, okay, I'm just going to go on consistent walks. And I will say that I did like 2 or 3 walks in this period of time, this month that I was here, but it's really not enough to like say that I was consistently exercising. So that's a huge focus for me next month, where in Feb, I'm going back to Malaysia, so I'm trying to get back to that grind. 5 days a week, I'm in the damn gym. And I like it too. So I'm not going to say I'm disappointed with myself. I know why I didn't do it. I endeavored to be better next month. And I really do want to be, I think some of the best days that I have are usually when I start out with exercise or a cigarette. But don't tell that to my mom. Next habit is reading, and for me, successfully reading would just be that if I've read 1 book a month. It doesn't really matter how I divvy it out, as long as 1 book is read. And I achieved that, and it was a fat book too. It's called The Priory of the Orange Tree, phenomenal book. And I'm super excited I went and bought the other books by the same author in the same universe. I'm very excited to read that in February as well. I definitely noticed, I finished the goal earlier than anticipated. I thought it would take me the whole month, but I basically bought the book on a random Sunday and finished it 4 days later. I could have read another book. I could have. But I didn't push myself. Which is something, that is what I would like to be different next year. That's what I'd like to be different next month, where if I finish reading early, if I finish the book, start the next book. There's no harm, no foul. So, I kind of achieved my goal, and I was like, I've done it. I don't want to do anything more. And that's something I'd like to keep pushing myself. Because something I did manage to push myself with very well is YouTube. The goal was just to post 2 videos, and I posted 3. And now, on the last day of January, I'll be posting this video, so I'll be posting 4. And that makes me really happy because I've been procrastinating with this YouTube channel for like my whole life. Like ever since I was a kid, I wanted to make a YouTube channel, and I kind of did a variation of it with my production company, First Word Collective, but it wasn't really like, I wasn't putting out the videos that I always wanted to make every single time. And I really use these YouTube videos as a vessel to practice things. Like I've been practicing sound design more than ever before. I've been practicing different systems that I typically would not be doing. But now I get to through my YouTube videos. I'm like experimenting a bunch with film form and how I want like things to piece together. It's been very cool to like deconstruct my filmmaking process and rebuild it for this YouTube channel in a way that really excites me. And it really does excite me every time I'm ready to make this YouTube, every time I'm excited to make a YouTube video. And knowing myself, I do get caught up in analytics quite a lot, but this journey has been really fruitful where each video that I've posted, I've been able to like detach myself from that a little bit more. I've definitely focused on like CTR and conversions and stuff like that for sure. I think there's something really amazing to be learned about the title thumbnail relationship and how that affects the algorithm. But I'm not letting that hold me back. I think a big hindrance that I've had in general about posting on any platform is just that like after about a month of doing it or 2 months of doing it, I just feel sad because I don't feel like it's going in any certain direction. And I realized that if I focus on the platform that I really enjoy, that metrics wouldn't matter to me as much, then it wouldn't really be that difficult to return to it. And that definitely has been YouTube. So yeah, 4 videos, doubled my baseline. Hell yeah, let's fucking go. Posting on my music page. I basically want to be posting twice a week, which I achieved for the final 2 weeks of January. And I wish I'd been more consistent about it. I definitely do. I think the largest reason I wasn't really able to do it was just, I would just chalk it up to fear more than anything else. I just didn't feel like I was ready to post. And then I was thinking, and then like about halfway through the month, I was like, you know what? Like, I didn't feel ready to post for YouTube either, but here I am posting. So, what's the reason that I'm not doing it? And it really was just fear. It was just fear of like making something boo-boo. And maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But I posted, and that's what matters. And I have a new song coming out on February 5th, but that doesn't really matter. That's not what I'm here to talk about. So yeah, I would say January was a mixed bag. I wouldn't say I achieved every single one of my goals with flying colors. 2 of them, I really thought I did well, YouTube and reading. I was really quite happy with that. And with writing, I'd like to switch that margin to 5 days, and I have another problem with my writing that I will get back to. And of course, the biggest L was, exercise. That was bad. It should not be the case for next month. Like it really should not be the case. I've definitely noticed the relationship between like feeling good and exercising consistently, and I don't want to lose that. So yeah, it's I don't know how many people have read Atomic Habits. I mean, it's a best-selling book, so I don't know how many people who watch this will have read Atomic Habits, but I can definitely trace a lot of those teachings onto my habits and how they have succeeded or succumbed. Like exercise is super down to my environment. As soon as my environment and ease of access changed, habit tanked. I also don't have like any crazy reward for it, so habit tanked instantly. So that's something to keep in mind, that when I travel, I really need to make sure that I like go out and make sure my little monkey brain knows that it is accessible. I can do it. I should do it. With reading, it was just a matter of pushing a little bit harder to like overachieve my goal. And who doesn't like being an overachiever sometimes in their own personal journeys? Because, self-discipline is a very difficult, it's hard. Amongst the January process, something that I was also really struggling with was my sleep schedule. It was bad. It got bad. For like 3 weeks, it was really bad. Like I was basically going to sleep at sometimes it would just be all-nighters, and then I was basically just pulling night shifts. And some of that was due to like Like a big chunk of my life lives in PST, so if I just want to talk to my friends, then they're all just awake at night, and so that would exacerbate the problem. Video games, Hades 2 is awesome, no regrets, but it took a lot out of me to just fix my sleep schedule. And sometimes, like, I get really obsessive. Like, when I was reading my book, even though I was fixing my sleep schedule, like, there was one night I just couldn't stop reading. Like, I read like 250 pages that night, and I just didn't sleep until I was happy with the amount of until I was happy with where the story left off. And it's things like that I want to be a little bit more in moderation and in check of, because waking up the next day and you're like really groggy, you've only seen the sun for like 2 hours. That's something I don't want that to be the case again. Okay, now kind of entering into a second part of the video, focused a lot more about my difficulties surrounding writing. I wanted this video initially to be titled, like, why can't I write every day? And I realized that was really reductive. Something about that felt wrong to me. I understand that YouTube video titles have to, like, push a certain thing in order to hook an audience member. But I really felt at the same time that I was lying in the title and I was telling the truth at the exact same time. As I mentioned before, I write different forms, and the form I wrote the most this month was definitely reflections. Like, I've written like so many pages of reflections, which some of them turned into scripts, some of them turned into action points, some of them turned into just like ways for my brain to understand why I'm struggling with something or why I'm succeeding with something. I like to do both. I didn't focus on my article writing quite as much, and I definitely wrote YouTube scripts. I've written more than I'm about to post 4 videos, but I've written more than that script-wise. So what I haven't done this month is write a single page of my second screenplay. And like the whole month, even though I was writing and 21 out of 31 days, I really didn't consider myself to be a writer or that I was succeeding at my goal, which kind of felt paradoxical, because on the one hand, I am writing, but on the other hand, I'm telling myself that I'm not succeeding, which is just not true. And so I kind of went down the like usual list of culprits as to, what might be the situation that's causing me to feel this way. And typically, I would determine them to be like these few folks. Is it a fear of failure? Do I just lack the stamina? Is it a lack of preparation? Is it a lack of rewards? Or is it a lack of motivation? So I went down the list to really like analyze myself. And this is the script I've been trying to write for almost the whole month, because it's the video I really wanted to make. And I've written this script as a reflection, as a script, probably about 5 or 6 times, each time distilling it further and further. And, if I go over fear of failure, I'm not really afraid to fail. Like, I haven't set up the goal to be an impossible thing. Like, I'm not trying to write Good Will Hunting in my second feature film. The goal is just to get to 90 pages. And I'm not afraid to do that. I've already done it once, and I really like writing movies. It's fine. I'm really not afraid to fail. I'm excited. So it wasn't that. It wasn't him. Lack of stamina. Again, I don't think that's the case, because I already wrote one. I don't see why I would suddenly lose the stamina to write another one. Is it a lack of preparation? I don't think so. To be completely honest, I'm even better prepared for this movie than I was in my last one. My last one's all kind of time travel bullshit, so it was a pain in the ass to write. This one, it's a lot much more of a character, like a stripped down character drama, and every scene is done. Like, I have it all mapped out. John Truby would be proud of me. So I didn't feel it was a lack of preparation. I know what the next step is. I'm happy to do it. And then, was it a lack of rewards? I really don't think so. I'm a gluttonous bastard already. I have everything I want in life right now. I really don't know what reward would have made me like write more. Maybe I don't know. Maybe that's a bit reductive. Like, if there was someone who really wanted to read the script and I had to get it written. But I could conversely also see that if someone wanted me to really write the script, I would then it would be like pressure. I don't know. I don't think it was a lack of rewards. I feel content in life. So that kind of brought me to lack of motivation. I really like this idea, and I'm happy to write it. So I didn't really feel it was a lack of motivation. And then the other reason I didn't think it was a lack of motivation was just because, like, I've been writing. I'm excited to pick up the pen and get writing on an idea. I'm very excited to explore, and I often try to structure it so that I'm, like, training my mind as much while I'm writing, especially with the scripts, especially with my reflections. So it's not really a case that I have no interest in writing, because I have been writing. And what I realized at that point was that my last screenplay took me about 3 months to write. And I'm about the same place as I was last time. It took me a month of prep to get all of the writing done. Sorry, not the writing done. It took a month of prep to get all of the foundational work for the story completed. And then in the second month, I wrote my first 25 to 35 pages. And then in the third month, I really brought it home and, clocked all the way to 90. This time around, I've kind of had an inverse, not an inverse, but I've had a different situation where I wrote and did all of the prep work in about 2 weeks, I'd say 2.5 weeks. And then I wrote the first 25 pages in the remaining 2 weeks of December. So, in terms of the grand scheme of things, I'm not behind. I'm supposed to deliver the script for myself at the end of Feb, because December, January, Feb. And I really started grappling with the idea that, like, I'm disappointed in myself that I'm not writing, because I have determined arbitrarily that it is not fast enough. My problem isn't that I'm not writing, it's that with this specific form, I've determined this specific form of writing is more important than everything else. And to an extent that's true, because, like, it is my dream to make movies, but at the exact same time, like, I shouldn't be shitting on myself just because I've done the work early and then I decided not to do much this month. It's kind of a similar thing to reading, in some regard, where, like, I finished it early, and I could have read another one, but I achieved what I wanted to achieve. And I've been really grappling with that idea that, like, the idea of every day has bothered me more than the idea that I've done the work, and I'm not behind. I'm not behind on anybody else's schedule. I really get to determine how I feel about the work, and I've done the work, and I'm on schedule. If in February I then don't write any pages of my screenplay, and then I fail to deliver it on my 3-month schedule, I feel like that would be a little bit disappointing, and then I have to kind of go back to the drawing board as to what really happened. But it was very interesting to realize that I was kind of hating on myself for not being fast enough. And fast enough for who? Fast enough for what? It's like, this is not due for anybody other than for myself. And there's no need to rush this. Who am I rushing this for? And I kind of really came to a realization that, like, the only reason I expect myself to be writing a screenplay every day is because that's what, like, I've been told it makes you, like, a good quality writer, or makes you, like, that you're hustling online. Because if you're not doing something, there's definitely someone out there who is doing it, and therefore why aren't you doing it? And it was just such a, it's not a great way to look back at yourself, because I am achieving my goal, and, I have to take things into consideration that I finished all the prep work in 2 weeks, I wrote the 25 pages in 2 weeks, and then I decided not to do anything in January. That doesn't mean I'm behind, but it does put a certain pressure in making sure that in Feb, I do get that done. So that is just to put a summation on all of that, it's like, sometimes you got to know why you're working at a certain pace. You got to know your own pace. And you got to make sure you remind yourself, because otherwise it can lead to some, like, nasty thoughts about yourself, where I really was approaching this point where I'm like, oh, I'm not a writer. I'm not doing the thing I wanted to do, even though, like, I was. And I should be happy about that. I really did write consistent. Like, I wrote so many YouTube scripts. I wrote so many reflections. I I'm working on my article series right now where I'm reviewing like the 100 best albums of 2025. I'm doing it slowly, but it's for me to make sure I show up frequently. And I showed up 21 out of 31 days of the month. Next month, I want to make sure that, you know, I'm showing up for like all of them, 28 out of 28. But this was a very interesting realization for me, that like how negative we can be about ourselves when we're not, like, almost being inconsiderate, like being our own worst enemy. And it kind of played out in real time. And it was starting to demotivate me from all the other things that I was writing, just because I was like, oh, I'm behind, and I'm not behind. So yeah, this is a great reason I do these reflections. You know, because I felt as though if I wrote that video, why can't I write every day, I would have like encapsulated into video that I was failing, even when I wasn't, like a manifestation of my own like inner fear and hatred toward myself. Kind of wild how far the human brain can go in certain feelings when you feel inadequate in some capacity. But it's helped me realize I'm okay. I'm on my own pace. I'm working at my own pace, and there's nothing better than working at your own pace, because as you strengthen and practice and recognize what helps you succeed and what holds you back, that's how your systems improve. And I've been really grateful that I've been so analytical with myself, going back and forth about like, am I succeeding, am I not, to finally come to this realization. And that's a huge reason the form of this video changed, because some versions of this video was like me like angrily ranting. Other versions was like me trying to really dissect it. And the truth is, it's somewhere in the middle. I haven't finished the journey, so I haven't finished the entire learning. But it's a conversation. It's a constant conversation. Ergo, this video is a conversation. And I really love that. So yeah, that's kind of my reflections. January's been cool. Like I wrote 3 songs. Read that book. I watched a lot of movies. Watched Marty Supreme twice. Actually, this is a random segment. Oh, I can't. Hold on. All right, so I watched Avatar: Fire and Ash, Lilo and Stitch. Doesn't really count as a movie, but Stranger Things, the finale, that was long. K-pop Demon Hunters, Dumb Money, Marty Supreme, watched that twice. Caught Stealing, Dhurandhar, and The Rip. I want to watch even more movies. I definitely want to watch even more movies. But I'm pretty happy with the selection. Most of them felt like blockbusters, to be completely honest. But I mean, they were Dhurandhar, The Rip, K-pop Demon Hunters, Avatar: Fire and Ash. But they were all good overall. Like I didn't really have a really dookie movie. Like lowest rating goes down to 3 stars. It doesn't get any lower than that. Dumb Money, Marty Supreme were definitely my highlights. God damn, those movies were awesome. I kind of wish Caught Stealing was okay. I'm going on a tangent, and I'm pretty sure my phone's about to run out of storage. Thanks so much for watching this. I know it's a longer video than the usual, and I'm excited to do it for February, see how things go. All right, peace out.